afternoon. I'm James Crabtree, Assistant Director, Pikes Peak for the Eastern Colorado Healthcare System. It is PFC Floyd Lindstrom's birthday. We are celebrating at the clinic. Please come and join me as I walk to the clinic and we hear Keith LaMee give the history of PFC Floyd Lindstrom.
He received the Silver Star. Then they made the landing in Italy and was fighting up the Malago Gap. And his group, and another machine gun point was set up to cover a valley as an infantry company was moving up. The Germans had gained the high ground, so the infantry company fell back. The other machine gun position could not help them. So this guy decided to, well, I got a machine gun here, I'll just pick it up and go up the hill. How many think that Fillmore Hill is steep?
Fillmore Hill?
Fillmore Hill.
Yeah. No.
That's a nice, gentle slope to what he went up. I stood on top of that area where, as far as he got, and it just kind of almost drops off right there. And the big thing about that, it had like marble and stuff, so it was not the easiest. He weighed 160 pounds, and it was a 113-pound machine gun he was carrying up. He got up, even with the machine gunners, and said, you know what, they're hiding behind a rock. I'm not gonna hit them with my gun. He pulls out his 1911, charges the last 10 yards, kills those two Germans, then takes their machine gun and takes it down to his guys. But you need ammo for a machine gun. He goes back up the hill, gets 2 boxes of ammo, comes back down, gives it to them, and says, well, I left my machine gun up there, I better go man it. So he was manning his machine gun with no support. The Germans eventually broke and just left him alone.
When we talk about, he was 160 pounds, and the machine gun was how much?
113.
113. So if you've been up the incline, anybody been up the incline? Can you imagine carrying that up the incline? That's the comparison.
In your arms.
In your arms. And so he wasn't a big man either. So you think about the bravery, but also the adrenaline that's rushing at that point. What a hero.
Knew he was up for the Medal of Honor first part of January when they had been pulled off the line and they were getting ready to make the landing at Anzio. And they said he could stay back. He said, nope, my men need me. So he made the landing at Anzio. And the first man off the boat, some of you might recognize him as James Arness from the old Gunsmoke. They made him get off the boat first because he was the tallest one in the 7th Infantry Regiment, because they didn't know how deep the water was. I went over in January. It was the 79th anniversary of the landing at Anzio. 2 days later was the opening of the American Cemetery. I went out there and stood on that beach, and it is just unbelievable because you can almost see where it just almost a straight drop off. He was eventually killed on February 3rd in what they called the factory area, which is now just a bunch of vineyards. So it might have been, they were making wine at that time too. When I flew in, got to Italy and Rome, Luigi Senamente, he is in charge of the PFC Floyd K Lindstrom Outpost 16 of the 3rd Infantry Society over there. He drove me to that area so I could get some soil. Seeing the landing area was, incomprehensible. But when he died, it would happen to be the 2-year anniversary of the burial of his fiancée. His assistant gunner, you figure should have been killed with him, but was not. In the display case, they show a lone gunner on a water-cooled machine gun all by himself. And I'm sitting there going, that represents Floyd right there. He was more interested in taking care of his men, his buddies, and his own life. The Germans had overrun his position. He was killed either by grenade or by mortar rounds. They had set up tripwires. This is something that the wires would go through, connect them all, so if you trip one, you trip three. Up on top of Mount La Defensia, found this. The gentleman, Angelo, I'm not going to try and pronounce his last name, but he's retired Italian Special Force. He said this is identified as an American hand grenade. He showed digging where they believe Lindstrom had his machine gun set up. They believe this is one of the shells out of Floyd's machine gun. They have a light on top of Mount La Defensia that comes on every night. Yeah, they had gone out of their way to remember Floyd. It is phenomenal that these Italians have taken Floyd to their heart. And it's amazing that they will take time and still recall that when the Americans and British all came to free their countries from fascism.
Keith, just thank you for your trip to Italy. That's amazing to hear the heroics that took place there.
I think he was definitely driven by patriotism. I think he also realized he was drafted the day after his 30th birthday. With the loss of his fiancée, I have a feeling that he didn't think he had much of a chance of coming back, but he wanted to make sure as many guys as he could make sure that they came back. They started a family and all. That's why he turned down staying back from the landing in Anzio. And that's why he always pushed himself to be out front to protect people. And this clinic is all about healing the wounds that the veterans have. Like, you take care of your own. And that's what the clinic is. It's here to take care of the veterans.